Hey guys, welcome to Cheers, where everyone knows your game. Tonight we have the lovely Xena Zeitgeist, and flying co-pilot with me is David Teagle, affectionately known as Teagle. Uh, Thank you guys for both being here. I really appreciate it. It's really nice to be able to see some old friends again. So first off, Xena, for the audience that may not have had a chance to see the last interview with you, could you let our viewers know a little bit about what you do?
Sure. Yeah. I do a lot of cosplay.
Hmm.
Uh, I am an actor. I do a lot of online role play, like tabletop game stuff. I do burlesque when there isn't a pandemic. I host a lot of live shows. I'm involved with the drag community. And I do some circus stuff too.
Awesome. Don't forget, guys, you can check out Xena Zeitgeist's IMDb. She has a very long list of accolades there. Don't forget nails. No, not nails. Claws.
Plus,
Claw.
yeah.
Yes, claws. Really awesome show. But one of the things that we failed to mention is that you have also dipped your toe in game design. The last time we
Yeah.
talked, you kind of made up your own game that was kind of geared towards people, performers, and people in the burlesque community. Could you tell our viewers a little bit about that too?
Yeah, that game is called Delusions of Grandeur, which it's just a one sheet RPG. It's really silly. It's just like it's made for people who, maybe want to get into tabletop gaming but aren't really sure where to start. So you design your character. It's like basically I'm obsessed with the game Honey Heist, which is another one sheet tabletop RPG. And the guy who made it, whose name escapes me right now, I just played Honey Heist for my birthday with my family. And I like have this, I just was looking at the sheet. Like, I don't know how I don't remember his name. But anyway, um, Delusions of Grandeur is like heavily inspired by kind of his style of creating games. It's just like everything you need to know is on one sheet. You just play with a six-sided die. It's like really accessible to people who probably don't have a D20 lying around, but might have like like a game of Yahtzee in their house or something that they can grab a D6 from. The characters are, you can like kind of roll based on stuff that's on the sheet, or you can make it up on your own. And my version was one where you are some type of performer in a troupe that is competing at Sparkle Palooza. You're trying to win a lifetime supply of glitter.
I knew it was going
And
to be glitter.
Of
I
course.
knew, I
yeah,
knew, I knew it was going to be glitter. I
glitter and fame is what you're going for. Um, but just like as you roll, if you fail an action you're trying to do, you have to take a point in imposter syndrome. And if you succeed, then you take a point in confidence. But if you get too many points in either direction, like if you fill up on your imposter syndrome points, you just have like an anxious breakdown and you can't go on. And if
I feel like
you
you're adding a lot of people right now.
I know, if you get too many points in confidence, then you leave the troop and try to become a solo artist, so your mission fails.
I feel like this is almost autobiographical from your life. I feel like we could just go down the list and be like, I've been to a show where this has happened before.
Well,
Yeah.
funny that you mentioned Crits and Grits. That is something that both you and Teagle have a shared experience with. Right now,
That was
with
almost like a professional segue that we just like.
I know
You're
it's
like you're like a
That's
step down
natural.
from Graham Norton.
I'm,
You're almost
I'm just
there.
saying, you guys are like leading me down the path, and I'm just gonna take it. I'm gonna take it however I can.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, like with the pandemic going on, virtual is everything, right? And so many people are kind of throwing their hat into this virtual arena of showing off either how to crochet or let's make some bread or let's show our role-playing game. And that's something both of you guys have done in a semi-professional experience. For our viewers, could you guys talk a little bit about your shared experience? What was it like? How did you prepare for it? And maybe give a little bit of some little stories or anecdotes.
Yeah. So in Crits and Grids, we were doing the playtest for the second for Pathfinder 2. I was unprepared. I feel I had never played Pathfinder at
I was
all.
gonna say mechanically you were unprepared,
Yeah.
but I don't know that I've ever role played with someone who was like more characterly.
Merle was awesome.
I don't even know the word
Merle,
for that.
everyone's favorite
Yeah.
is Merle.
You know what? Merle was great. I also liked your you had an orc barbarian.
Oh, Strabish, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought both. I mean, you were coming at it from two different angles, and it kind of showed a dynamic range. Um, I mean, so yeah, that was how we kind of got started, and I think we became better friends through that because we'd only done that
Definitely.
through her other industries, and but I think that was it was really interesting because it was basically a couple of people who played here were like, oh man, I've always wanted to do this. So a couple of the guys, they'd always wanted to do a podcast, and I'd always wanted to stream, and you kind of wanted to do a little bit of streaming to get the Gopher name out there. This is before you were ready to be on camera. So
Still not ready. Still not ready.
And so yeah, so we decided we were gonna do the play test for Pathfinder 2, and then you brought Xena in, and that's kind of how we got started. And I think if we were doing anything other than the mechanic testing for Pathfinder 2, which was just dry and boring, it was.
Yeah.
We had a couple of great runs, but towards the end of it, we were just doing mechanic and combat testing.
Oh my God. The last one, we were literally testing like the death and dying mechanics. It was not fun.
It was painful.
It was so painful, especially because like we were making new characters for all of these different like levels for the test. And like, so you would like put some thought into it, you know, like no one was just using like a pre-generated character.
Yeah.
So it was just like, you know, like you just made this character and then you're testing the like death and dying mechanics on it. It just like it felt like a bad time. It
was weird. Also, the other thing is that the test is not designed for role playing. It's really not. It's designed for it's designed to just get in there, do the combat, do the spell casting, do the movement test, the death and dying test, whatever it is. And then but sitting at the table are a bunch of hams, and all we want to do is role play. That's all we wanted to do. And you know, I felt bad for our GM because he was like, all right, we need to do this thing, you know, and then be like,
and
no,
we
we're
were
gonna
like
role
having
play.
side conversations. Like I remember, I think you had like a ranger character or something. Like
I
like
was doing like a ranger character for one, and I think I did a some kind of tank character for another, some sort of dwarf tough guy. It was the beard. I was attracted to the beard.
But more importantly, like not so much the mechanics of it, but like what would you like? Okay, for you, Xena, that was your first time doing it, and obviously you've been in film. You're not shy in front of the camera because you've done so many plays and works and things like that on film. What type of advice would you give to our viewership about like if they wanted to start in something, because that was your first time doing the role-playing game, the role-playing streaming? Do you have any tips or anything?
Yeah. Well, I had played D&D before in like a weird homebrew game that was terrible. But I feel like it depends on if you're a performer or not. But like I just ran Honey Heist for literally my grandma, my dad, my aunt, uncle, and 3 of my cousins. And they like when like we've been playing like so that my grandma can have like social interaction. We've been doing video calls on Friday nights. And usually we'll play like Yahtzee or something that she wants to play that she has. But so they were like, "Oh, do you have dice?" And I was like, "Do I have dice?" And I like pulled out my like crazy dice collection. They're like, "What is that?" Like the D20. They're like, "What?" Like, like I've never seen anything like that. And I was like, all right, well, we're gonna have to play some tabletop games together. So they didn't initially love the idea. None of them are performer types. I am like kind of the black sheep of the family. All of them, like most of them were like, I'm not creative. I'm not an improviser. I don't know if I can do this. But I was like, listen, like I'm a chaotic person and I'm like DMing this game. It's not gonna be like just do whatever you want. Like just have fun. Like that's all that matters. Like just try to be in character, have conversations like with other people in character, you know, maybe pick an accent for your character. Who cares if you're bad at it? Nobody cares. Like it's just fun. Like all this is just like play and fun. It's no one's going to judge you if you like go to do something and then it's against the rules or anything like that. It's more important to just like kind of keep trying things. And if you're wrong or you like fail or whatever, like that's not that big of a deal. Like probably you'll come back to it anyway. Like my family, when they were playing, like ended up getting really into it. My dad's character was a panda, who was like a retired mobster guy. And he dressed up like he wore like a black shirt like and a white with a or white shirt with a black shirt over it, and then like had this hat that he like tied this like black and white like fuzzy thing around so that he like would be his character, and he like gave him a southern accent. And my dad is like not my dad was like just a career like a business, like he worked in like computer hardware and software sales like for his whole life. He was not when he kept saying like I'm not creative, I don't want to be in charge, but he ended up becoming like the leader of the group. And like everybody had so much fun though, and everybody did so good. Like they like it was so much fun, and they solved the thing. They got they heisted the honey. It was Abraham Lincoln's beehive. They heisted it.
Fancy.
Yeah.
That goes for a lot on the bear market.
It does, yeah. Well, if you eat some of the honey, then Abraham Lincoln's ghost comes out and tells you some of his wisdom. So
wow.
And
So they heisted the honey.
they heisted the
had a
honey,
good
but
time?
like so it took like an hour for them to really get into the game play. Like no one rolled for the first hour. They were all trying to like make plans and having little conversations and stuff like that, which was like fine and it was funny, but like eventually like I just had to be like my cousin was like, aren't we supposed to roll for things at some point? And I was like, yeah, but you're not making like choices.
Right.
Yeah.
That requires that. Yeah.
But if you want to make a choice, like if you want to go investigate something or you want to do this or that, and then he was like, oh, okay, I got it. So then he started kind of just doing things like, and not really trying to make like the best plan or the worst plan, you know? Like, so that ended up really moving the game along and ended up making it a lot more fun. And then like at the end, my aunt was like, that was so crazy. I feel like, you know, like when we had all these good plans and then they fell apart because we didn't roll well on them. And then all of our stupid plans, we rolled really well and then they all succeeded. And I was like, yeah, it like kind of doesn't matter. Like like, I mean, it helps like if you have a good plan in theory, but if you don't, just try something. It doesn't matter. It's a game. It's fun. That's it.
Yeah, that's true. It's probably the best experience I've ever had with newer players actually took place in this store.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when you hosted the Girl Scouts event.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
It was great.
Really
It was
cute.
great. So
That was
I
really
mean,
cute.
the store was filled with like 40 Girl Scouts. Yeah, Mac was like, "Hey, would you DM for a group of Girl Scouts for this Girl Scout Day thing?" It was like to introduce role playing to Girl Scouts. I was like, "Absolutely, that sounds awesome." So yeah, I had a table of like 6 or 8 Girl Scouts, and they just
Yeah, they took
they
to
went
it.
they
It was
went they
awesome.
took to it. They were just like, "Oh, well, my character, she's wearing this armor and it's got spikes." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Mechanically it's the same, just want to let you know, spikes aren't going to do anything, but you design it up." And the other, she was like, "Can my armor be orange?" I was like, "Yeah, your armor can be whatever color you want. This isn't real life. You can do whatever you want."
Yeah.
And so they for about the first half hour, that was all they wanted to do, was describe their characters. And then they became the most adventurous, bloodthirsty group I've ever played with zero backstabbing. There was no backstabbing. There was no roguish behavior. It was just like, we have a mission and we are Girl Scouts and we are going to accomplish it.
Yeah,
And it was phenomenal. But I would say, like, if we're going to talk about streaming, right, and talk about getting into it, and this is the time where literally anybody has the opportunity to be the Leonardo da Vinci of streaming. Whatever your medium is, you want to be a video game Twitch streamer. You want to, Instagram yourself cooking D&D themed meals, which I almost did because I've really picked up on that lately. But it's the best. But you want to film you and your friends playing Shadowrun or Pathfinder or D&D and throw it up on YouTube. The key here is to find a medium that is both fun for you and the audience, right? So that's where we failed when we did Crits and Grits. We had a little bit of fun, but we went back and watched some of those videos and it was boring. I mean, it's just boring. Like, the parts that weren't boring were the parts that we weren't supposed to be doing, when it's just like us chatting amongst ourselves. So like, that was a failure, in our planning. And then also you have to have a realistic expectation to the amount of work that goes on after the camera's done rolling.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same thing, I imagine, for any show that you do. People don't understand the production.
People do not understand the production.
Yeah, because you have to have all the pre-production, right? You got to arrange the talent, right? All the people that are going to be sitting around the table, plan the game, get everybody there, the logistics of the filming or the streaming, whatever that is.
Well, and the internet connection and the cameras, like all of the tech stuff.
I mean, you remember when we were filming at my place, how difficult it was for us to figure out where we were going to be sitting in my living room just to be able to get all of us in those cameras.
Xena, another question coming from your experience in the Crits and Grits era. It has, from what I see, it has kind of like really sparked a lot of creativity in a lot of your cosplay and some of your other performances and things like that. Could you maybe give our audience a little anecdote of like after you finished doing the Crits and Grits stuff, like where did that lead your brain into thinking of all these really creative ways to incorporate all that? Because like, you have a fantastic Merle costume. I love it.
Yeah. Well,
your commercial with all the different characters was
basically, like, I really loved Merle, which Merle was like a gnome bard of a certain age.
I mean, you have to give the full.
Yeah, you got. You can't. You got to.
I'm not gonna try to plug Crits and Grits to make people go watch for that one scene, but like you've got to lay it out.
I'm just saying, Lucy, hashtag Merle.
Yeah, like
Well, I have some other stuff like on my Instagram as Merle because I just really liked that character. Well, and so before Crits and Grits, I had a D&D burlesque show called Dungeons and Drag Queens that was like an RPG, like a TTRPG burlesque show, which I won't get into the logistics of right now, but I always wanted to bring it back and then just never did. And then like not that long after Crits and Grits ended, some of my drag friends were like, oh, we're doing this drag show that's like a D&D drag show that's all improvised, and it's called We Hear You Have Goblins. Are you interested in doing this? And I was like, yes, absolutely. And they were like, okay, so let's hear some character ideas. And I was like, well, Merle is a gnome bard of a certain age, the heavy Southern accent and big hair. She's blue. She has a hit song called Nolene that she's heavily based on Dolly Parton.
heavily based
On Dolly Parton. And everyone was like, that's perfect. Like, just do that. Be Merle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did for that show, and that show was so much fun. It was so crazy. Like, it was great. Like, and people who like saw that show remembered Merle from that, which was, I don't know, fun for me. And then like the next time they did the show, they had wanted to have new people every time, but the next time they did the show, they like someone couldn't do it, like someone dropped out like the week before or something. They were like, let's bring Merle back. And I was like, yeah. So I came back and did Merle again for We Hear You Have Goblins, which was great. And then since then, like I've just been doing a bunch of like D&D related cosplay things for the internet and things like that since then, and trying to do a bunch of different characters, which, and I don't know, like I guess like at a certain point I was getting frustrated with cosplay and just like trying to do other people's characters all the time, like things that I don't actually own, especially seeing like a lot of issues around that, like like the Harry Potter franchise like sued like a burlesque troupe
Really?
for doing a Harry Potter burlesque show. Yeah.
But I thought that was covered under parody. So...
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. That's crazy.
Which like, I mean, it's a burlesque show. They don't have any money. Right. So
like that's the wrong tree to bark up.
They definitely didn't make any money.
They didn't.
You're doing it because
it's
you
like,
love
you know what?
to do
You know what?
Not because you want to get rich.
I guarantee. You know what? I tell you what. We'll give you 50% of everything we brought in from that show. We'll give you this pizza that we bought for the performers. I mean, like, who are you gonna go?
Here's some drink tickets.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a buttload of tickets.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my favorite thing. Can I say though, I don't normally get a chance to fanboy out here, but I'm going to. Sitting next to Xena as Merle was developing, right? So you came to the session with an idea. Like she definitely had Merle like some concept down, but Merle evolved as that game went on, and it was just genius. Everything that came on. I like when you role play, like if you tabletop for a while or LARP or whatever it is you do, you'll have a few times where you'll see like role playing at its finest, right? And I don't mean like you'll find somebody with like a quirk that here or there, but like where they really get into a character so well that as that character develops, even as jokes are being made, right? Like the Dolly Parton stuff, the big hair, all of that was hilarious as she was coming out with it. But like, it was just Merle sitting at the table the whole time. And just watching you play a gnome of a certain age flirt with everything that crossed the line. Just like everything. It didn't matter. Species, age, gender had no bearing on Merle's, like, I'm going to throw a song at you and you're going to love me and not attack us. And I'm just like, you know what? I appreciate this so much. But
I think I did that with a manticore or a womanticore.
Oh yeah. It was well, one, it saved the party, which was not supposed to happen. She broke the game. That was one of the things that we had to write Pathfinder and be like, by the way, this bardic spell is a little powerful.
Absolutely. No, because like one of my favorite bits that you did recently was like you had a bunch of like fantasy D&D characters working for Xena Zeitgeist.
Oh yeah,
right?
like that was for, I was trying to get money from Patreon because they were doing like an artist grant thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't want to make a video about myself saying why I need money. And then I was like, I'll just have my D&D characters say why I need money.
My favorite one was the IT character that had like the accent. It's like, I don't even know what this is, but she keeps telling me to do this thing.
Oh, that's Lucky. So Lucky came, so in quarantine, in the pandemic, a lot of my drag friends have started D&D campaigns, and we had a really good one going for a while that just got like too big kind of and overwhelming for the DM.
Yeah, I feel like I've run that game.
Yeah. But so Lucky came from that, and yeah, is an Eldritch Knight, and like their accent is crazy. Like like they say Sheena, like as my name is Xena, and they're like Sheena want me to do tech sports for this business, but I don't know how to do tech sports, but I will try for Sheena. So
it's really great. Yeah, I noticed that like after your time with Crits and Grits, I saw more and more of that kind of influence in a lot of your art, and I really appreciate it because like Teagle said, I was there for that moment to see those things start to kind of form, and that was so cool. That was really, really cool.
It really was. I look, anytime you get to see an evolution like that, it's really good. So I was impressed by it. So I had to fanboy out there for a second because I loved it. So,
but of course, that being said, the process and the work that goes into streaming, do you guys, both of you, do you both have any like real positives from it? Like obviously we spend a good amount of time talking about how Xena got some inspiration to create other forms of art from that experience, but do you guys have any other positive things that you'd like to tell our audience about why going into that type of field, that streaming field, would be a good thing, something that they could look forward to? Xena?
I feel like I think that like streaming isn't for everyone. Like for me, like I'm a really introverted person naturally. And when I've tried to do live streams like on my own without other people there to like play off of, so that it's like the weight isn't on me the whole time to be entertaining. I feel like that's the way to go if you're really introverted. And like that's like your big like apprehension. If you have other people that you can live stream with, then it becomes like just way easier and more fun. And it's like a social experience like for you and ideally for the people watching also. Like I mean, and you can like grow your following that way, and it's also ideally you would have like a schedule for streaming that you stick to, and it's kind of like a, I don't know, it's like a, it's work, like it's a work thing, but it's a fun work thing, and you kind of like draw in new people through it, and you can make it kind of whatever you want. But it does just kind of feel like a social experience, like hanging out with your friends if you're doing it right.
Right.
Yeah.
And Teagle, do you have any advice?
Well, yeah. So my my first piece of advice is don't be afraid to try new things, right? So mainly because it's new things are awkward for you. They're always awkward for you. But when people watch you do things that are awkward for you, right, as you develop it, they feel attached to it, right? They're like, oh, I like this person because they didn't know what they were doing at first either. I don't know what I'm doing half the time, so I will hang out with this person virtually. The other thing is, don't try to be somebody else. That's really hard in streaming, any kind of streaming. You know, like if you want to stream your friends playing D&D, stream you and your friends playing D&D. Don't try to be Critical Role, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be Critical Role. The other thing is, don't get into it if you're looking for success.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just like get into it because it's a pandemic and you can't get out. You know, that's a good reason to do it. It's a way to, for some people it is a way to make some extra money. I will say you can make, like, everybody can make a tiny amount of money doing it, right? It's not difficult to make a little bit of money. It is going to be very difficult. Like, don't go out and buy the best camera and the best microphone and a sound mixing board, or get an editing software if you're just getting into it, because the chances of you making all that back are very difficult, right? Or very low, I should say.
So not only is Xena the queen of the obscene, but little known fact, Xena is also the master of marshmallows.
I am.
The master of marshmallows. So our producer has gotten us some marshmallows so you can teach us how to properly roast them.
Amazing.
You think you can do that while telling our guest, our audience, where they can find all of your lovely art?
Yeah.
But first off, I want to say one last thing. I would like to say to my producer, why did he get like the big boy size marshmallows?
Not only that, they're I feel like they're very suggestive.
Oh, those are smashmallows. Those are not good for toasting, but they are really delicious.
See, they're not good for toasting.
That, and then I got these like baby ones. Like, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I don't understand why I got these and our guest co-host gets those.
I know you feel slighted. You feel slighted.
Okay.
But I think realistically it's because I'm a big old marshmallow. And so I should get the big old marshmallows. That's what it is.
So we're gonna prep our roasting marshmallows, Xena. If you will lead us in how to do this, and also at the same time, please tell our audience where can they find you.
I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I never use Facebook. I don't know why I led with that. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm at Xena Zeitgeist on all of those. It's like at Xena Zeitgeist. I'm also on Patreon and OnlyFans. I have a YouTube channel also, which everything is under the same name for me. It's just Xena Zeitgeist.
Okay.
That makes it convenient.
Yeah.
Well, that does. Absolutely. All right, Xena. So we have our torch. Here you go, sir.
Maybe I should have used the ones without the chocolate on them.
I mean, isn't that kind of like a s'more already? So like what is the technique? What's the special technique?
I'm like concerned for what Teagle's doing right now. Well, he's using a smashmallow. So yours is like just a normal tiny marshmallow, right, Matt?
Yeah, it's a pretty, I just want to say thanks.
Oh, there's like a dust on it that catches on fire.
Yeah, I know a lot about marshmallows.
Well, you are the master of the marshmallow.
Yes.
Well, so here's some things I like to do. Number one is I put them in the microwave, and then sometimes blue sparks happen.
Wait, what? The marshmallows have blue sparks?
If you put them in the microwave, then yeah.
My marshmallows are on fire.
Yeah, yours are just on fire. Sometimes also, a trick
these are
if
really
I'm
good marshmallows.
feeling lazy and bad at doing marshmallows, then I just let it catch on fire, and then I just pull off the burnt part, and then I
Nope,
just eat the
Not for me.
the
Not for
squishy
me.
inside. But like the best real way to do it is with the creme brulee torch, and then you go slowly around it, not burning it, just getting it golden and crispy, and then it's perfect. Sometimes I'm
Fantastic.
too lazy for that.
Well, once again, Xena Zeitgeist, I want to say thank you so much for being on this edition of Cheers, where everyone knows your game. David Teagle, thank you for being here also. Guys, please don't forget to check back in with us every Saturday, 5 p.m. on Facebook Live. And of course, follow all the links that we have here posted below for Xena Zeitgeist's art, fan
All
pages,
my-
and everything else. Guys, thank you so much. Xena, thank you. David Teagle, that's so weird saying that. Teagle, thank you so much.
And I want to give a shout out to Boblin.
Boblin the Goblin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see this
I love
Pathfinder
him.
Goblin back there?
He's
That
beautiful.
dude is awesome. I'm in love.